Hello folks, Tiso here to talk about the new character banner. This one is pretty important. It's a double banner with Zhongli and Ganyu. Both of them are top tier in what they do, and I recommend having at least one of them on every account, even if you are free to play. They will definitely help make part of the game even easier. But which one do you want to pull for? Well, that depends on your account, so I hope this video will help you pick. Let's start with Zhongli. He has been out for a year now and is still considered the best support in the game, after he got fixed anyway. His shields will mitigate a lot of damage, up to 20,000 points for a fully built Zhongli. When his Jade Shield is active, you will also reduce nearby enemy resistance by 20%. You can also give him the Tenacity set to let him constantly give a 20% attack buff. That's what makes him arguably the strongest support. For defense, he gives the strongest shields in the game. For offense, he reduces enemy stats and buff your attack. Being Geo also lets him fit into any team without ruining your elemental alignments. No other support provides as much shield and offensive buffs as the Geo Archon. But I won't give him all praises. To me, there are two downsides with Zhongli compared to other supports. One negative is the lack of crowd control, since his burst ends up being a DPS loss in most cases. The other is the Geo Pillar that he puts down. It can get in the way of your range attacks, and you might accidentally start climbing it by mistake. This becomes less of an issue once you get used to having him on your team though. And let's turn this segment into a compliment sandwich. Another good part about Zhongli are the constellations, or lack thereof. He is perfectly fine at C0. All his constellations does not improve your team's damage by that much, so he is also one of the best supports for a free-to-play account. Okay, now let's look at the other rate-up, the Coco Goat herself. Ganyu have not dropped in power even after being out for a year and is still one of the top 3 hyper carries in the game. Her charge shots have insane scaling and a very large AoE. Her E provides a minor decoy and gives her a short relief to aim a couple more shots. Her burst does not seem that damaging at first, but each shard has a mini AoE, so the damage really ramps up when there are multiple enemies in close vicinity. Her kit is just damage on top of damage on top of damage, and all of it is AoE. The biggest downside with Ganyu is the use of charge shots. You will need to use her aim mode to get the most damage out of her. There are two popular team types with Ganyu. We have the freeze team, such as the famous Morgana freeze team, which includes Mona, Ganyu, Diona, and an Anemo character like Venti or Kazuha to swirl and reduce cryo defense. Another freeze team variant includes the brand new Shenhe, Ganyu, Kokomi, and another Anemo character or Zhongli. Those are the two strongest freeze teams with Ganyu, but you can use any team that includes Ganyu, another cryo character, a hydro character, and a flex. A healer is nice to have, but not required since you can permafreeze most enemies with a proper team rotation. The other popular team type are Ganyu melt comps. They actually do more damage than freeze teams, but can be a little harder to play. The enemies won't be frozen and you will need to be closer to them, so you might get hit more often. The most important character in a Ganyu melt comp is Xiangling. Her burst applies enough pyro to ensure Ganyu does the melting, and Guoba is a bonus. But that is also the reason why you'll be fighting close to enemies. The Pyro Nado only hits enemies around you. The third character is Bennett, to give the Pyro Resonant attack boost, along with healing and another attack boost with his own burst and artifacts. The last character is more flexible. You can use a shielder like Zhongli or Diona to prevent getting knocked out of aim mode. Venti is also great at grouping enemies to let Ganyu's charge shots decimate them. Kazuha and Sucrose can also work since they provide some crowd control and still take advantage of the 4-piece Venera set. Finally, if you don't want to run a conventional melt or freeze team, you can always have Ganyu with another main DPS or sub DPS. The team I normally use is actually one of those. That includes Wu Tao, Xingqiu, Ganyu, and Bennett. It's more of a Wu Tao team with Ganyu filling in time when Wu Tao's combo abilities with Xingqiu are on cooldown. It's not as strong as a traditional melt or freeze team mentioned before, but it's still plenty strong to clear any content in the game. Anyway, let's wrap this video with a summary of Zhongli and Ganyu in case you just skipped to the end. Both are very strong picks, with Zhongli being the better for most accounts. He is the strongest support in the game that provides a busted shield and extra damage for your team. He can also fit in any team, making him the easier choice between the two, especially since his constellations will not increase your team's damage by much, making him the better choice for free-to-play accounts. On the other side, we have Ganyu, who is still one of the top 3 main DPS in the game. Her charge shots, especially while melting, have the strongest scaling of any non-E or Q ability in the game, and her burst does very high damage against larger groups of enemies. Ganyu will increase the damage of any account, but you will need to use her charge shots to be efficient. Unlike Zhongli, Ganyu's damage potential does increase with her constellation, with the strongest DPS increase on her constellation 1. The Amos bow is also league stronger than other weapons for her, so she does get expensive to maximize. The reason why Amos is the best is because the passive of travel time actually accounts for the snowflake time, so you will have the bonus damage even on point blank charge shots. But even without those constellations and Amos bow, Ganyu is still a very strong DPS. She can fit in freeze and melt teams, which have very different playstyles, but they still require charge shots. Or you can toss her into any team with another main DPS that has a lot of downtime in their rotation. Both rate-up characters are tough choices since both of them are very strong. I hope this video helped you see the good and the bad for both characters and give you an easier time picking between the two. Or I could have just convinced you to want both and make this decision even harder. In either case, I wish you the best of luck on your pulls and remember to have fun out there, traveler. The rest of the video will just have some clips of Ganyu's gameplay. I don't include Zhongli here since all he does is swap in, uses shields, and swap back out.
Born of ice and frost.